Alright, this is Christopher Fox once again, and this is a request assigned for Joey. The name of this video is All 8 Child's Play Movies Ranked. This is by Chandler. Talks about movies. I like this guy. I haven't seen his ranking on the Chucky movies, but he's a pretty cool guy. I like his videos, so let's see what he thinks of all the Chucky films. So let's check it out. Hey.
Child's Play remake slashed its way into theaters. That means today I'm going to stop and
I
rank
saw it in
all
theaters.
8
I liked
Chucky
it.
movies from the worst to the best. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Chandler, and I started this channel because I was driving everyone around me crazy talking about movies way too much. If you can relate, you're probably in the right place and consider
I can't relate. You're talking about movies way too much, but I love it.
Go ahead and share your ranking of the Child's Play movies down below in the comment section. With the franchise this...
I might rank it myself one of these days. If I do rank the Chucky movies, I'm not going to include the remake or the TV series, but I'll definitely rank them if you guys want me to. Let me know in the comments if you want me to.
We're going to have wildly different rankings, and that's the fun part that we can talk about what we love and hate about these different movies. Just don't be a jerk about it.
Please don't. I don't
people ask me constantly where I get my posters, where I get my Funkos, and what equipment I use to shoot my videos. There's a link down below with a list of most of it and where you can buy it yourself. With that said, let's get started. In last place is this.
I expected Chucky to be last.
Audacious and bonkers sequels ever made.
I like it. In this case, I got a Glendale right over there.
And they decided to go with this meta, dark horror comedy, and it just does not work. Here's a list of some of the gags inside of this movie. Chucky's kid, Glenn, is ugly, and everyone tells him to his face as he starts crying. Hilarious! Glenn or Glenda, which is actually referenced to an Ed Wood film, is androgynous in design and gender confused. Hilarious! Glenn is emotionally fragile and when triggered, pees his pants. Hilarious!
It's not funny,
even when he's a real boy. Lol! Jennifer Tilly, who plays Tiffany in these movies, plays herself in a Chucky movie in this...
She's better as Tiffany, like Tiffany the doll.
This movie. Okay, that one's a little fun. And wants to star in a Virgin Mary movie, so she's going to bang the director in order to get the role. I can't stop laughing. And those are just the running gags. More importantly, why am I spending so much time talking about the big jokes for a Chucky movie? But the humor isn't even the most distasteful thing about the movie. There's a plot line about impregnating Jennifer Tilly with a turkey base.
That part was gross. I gotta say, that was gross.
To try something a little bit different. But why on earth did the studio greenlight this? In seventh place is Child's Play 3.
I love Child's Play 3. It's one of my favorites.
Plotline seems just stretched a bit too far. It's nowhere near as tedious or painful to watch as the seed of Chucky, but there's also not much here to leave a mark. Besides the fact that it's set at a military school, it just kind of feels like more Chucky stuff. It's like a rehash of what we saw in the previous two films. But the military school setting didn't really do the franchise any favors. The movie spends way too much time on bullying and hazing, and the only reason I could come up with why they did that was to come up with a way to justify having one of the cadets being killed off by his peers, and you kind of feel okay with it because the guy was a jerk. But just in general, this movie's not embarrassing, but I'd rather watch almost any other film in the franchise than rewatch this one. Next up is the Cult of Chucky. For me, this was
I don't like Cult of Chucky or Curse of Chucky that much.
Interesting, fresh, new ideas for the aging franchise, and 50% not so great ideas and poor execution. And maybe that's the problem here, is that there's a few too many main plot streams going on that I don't think come together properly in the final act. You have Andy returning and his relationship with a severed Chucky head. You have Nika being institutionalized. You have Chucky spreading his soul and consciousness.
Out of everybody in the Chucky's franchise, Nika got it the worst, if you ask me.
To multiple different dolls, and then at the end of the film, you have Chucky spreading his soul into another human. And I actually enjoyed the first two acts of the film, and it was about Nika being kind of tormented by Chucky at the mental institution where people just thought she was crazy because, well, she's in a mental institution, as well as Andy hanging out with Chucky back in his apartment. But I just didn't enjoy where they took any of these plot lines in the third act. If you're going to have Andy and Nika team up to battle multiple Chuckies in an insane asylum. This feels like the least satisfying way to do that. Kicking
Yeah, it
off our
does.
top
I don't
five
like
is
that
the
either,
Curse of Chucky. This was
Chucky.
a nice return to form after the
I wasn't a fan of the look of
session
Chucky in that movie.
was
not a
Seed
fan.
of Chucky. A few great things about this one. Right off the bat, Nika is a nice protagonist, a different type of lead character to put inside of this franchise. And being that she's in a wheelchair, it makes her vulnerable to Chucky in interesting and unique ways, especially in the house, the setting that they're in, but also it gives her some advantages over Chucky that are used nicely, like when she gets stabbed in the leg and it doesn't faze her one bit. I appreciated that this was a much more confined story, mostly just set at this one house. Also, they added some nice, interesting twists and turns into the lore, kind of giving things a little bit deeper of a backstory. And of all the films in this franchise, this is probably the most artistically directed of all of them. There's a nice little sense to the way it tries to capture different scenes, the way blood is used, the color schemes. There's this nice little tense dinner scene where people are eating and the little sounds around them, the way it kind of zooms in on faces is unsettling in a different sort of way.
It's not
but
needed,
outside
though.
of Nika, there's some pretty spotty acting here, and you can get away with bad acting if your movie's kind of fun and fast enough, but this one's trying to slow it down a little bit, be a little bit more artistic, in which case the bad acting sticks out, pops a little bit.
Yeah,
There's
I think
some
it was bad.
CGI here that clearly was not the most expensive CGI. It takes a little while to get to Chucky kind of really getting into action, and this movie just does not know when to end. You think it's about to end, but there's actually like 15 minutes left, and there's extra epilogues, plot twists, new characters introduced, and it just kind of keeps on going and going. The post-credit scene is fantastic, by the way, but the movie
with Andy, that was cool.
introducing things. So in general, this is a nice, solid Chucky movie that I think was hurt by the budget, so they couldn't get some of the better actors or better CGI.
I wasn't a fan, man.
Just a little bit of time.
Was not a fan of this movie.
La Roche-Posay Double Repair Face Moisturizer.
The film. Coming in at number 4 is Child's Play 2. This
That's
movie
only number
is
4?
Chucky in full swing from the very beginning of the film. In fact, the first kind of 15 minutes of this film is the first exposure I had to Chucky, just checking it out late at night on cable when I was growing up.
Yeah,
and
the
seeing
Teddy
the
Ruxpin,
sequence
I just
where he
noticed
kills the guy
that.
in the car. That's my first and most distinct memory of Chucky and the Child's Play franchise. Add to that, you get fun additions to the franchise with the Kyle character, but this is just classic Chucky in full swing, doing his thing. It's more of what we kind of got in the second half of the first Child's Play film, but starting earlier in the film with good kills, a little bit more of that personality from Chucky popping out, and the stuff that people love about this franchise. While we do get Chucky immediately in action in this film, it's not quite as fresh for me, and I enjoyed the mystery and storyline elements of the original film just a little bit more. Still, this is a great continuation of part 1. Real quick before I give you my top 3, be sure to share your ranking down below in the comment section.
probably do
We're
ranking video
going
on
to
these
disagree.
movies.
There's no reason to go all Chucky on someone just because they have a different ranking.
Yeah,
of the
respect
movies that
people's
you-
opinions,
Have a
man.
fun conversation.
Everybody.
Also, if you've enjoyed this video, check out this playlist up above for my ranking of other classic horror franchises: Friday the 13th, Horror, Conjuring, Purge. They're all in there. If you enjoyed this video, there's something in there that you'll love. Coming in third place is Child's Play 2019. I think this movie works best if you go into it, watch it.
I like Child's Play 2019, but I gotta say, Megan is a better version of that movie, but still, I loved it at the theaters.
It on its own terms as its own thing.
I was looking
and
up
not
to see
thinking
this
it as a
and Megan
Child's
in
Play
theaters,
remake.
so-
Because if you're a Chucky purist, you probably hate this movie because it takes so much of what is key, what you loved about the Child's Play movies, and totally tosses it out and replaces it with something totally different. But for me, I can watch it on its own terms, and I enjoyed what this movie had to give us by making Chucky an AI that actually does want to be friends with Andy, but is deeply broken on the inside. It's able to explore some
It was
very
cool.
different things about
Cool
friendship
concept.
and the robot's jealousy, and it takes things in a very different direction, has a very different sense of humor. Likewise, because he's essentially Siri with a robot body, this opens up a whole bunch of different story possibilities with how he's able to interact with technology, the way humans are able to track him a little bit. So he's able to do a bunch of fun different stuff, and it's also basically a throwback slasher film, except with modern aesthetics, which I enjoyed. So it's got some new clever kills inside of the mix. It's got some
The kills were
interesting
awesome.
themes
They
and
were
ideas
sick
it
as
explores.
hell.
So for me, it's not not as good as the original one and the best of the original franchise, but I think it stands on its own 2 feet.
It
Our
does.
runner-up is the original Child's Play.
Child's Play number
in fun
2?
spin on the classic horror trope of a possessed doll, only this time the possessed doll is a big, dynamic personality. The story works because it's a fairly straightforward whodunit where people are suspicious of this little boy and thinking, is he doing horrible things? And it works really nicely. As a 30-year-old horror film, it has some really nice 80s slasher aesthetics. Director Tom Holland, not that one, he wasn't born yet. The other Tom Holland tells a fairly straightforward story, but in doing so builds all the appropriate tension and creates this eerie atmosphere inside the film. And most importantly, this is the origin of Charles Lee Ray turning into Chucky the killer doll. It's not the most complex, it's not going for the biggest laughs, it's not the most insane Chucky, but it just works and it's a classic. But coming in at number 1 is The Bride
I
of
love
Chucky.
Bride of
After
Chucky.
3 films about hunting down Andy that all kind of had a similar tone, they decided to make the bold choice of reimagining and recharging the franchise with a big dose of energy and 90s aesthetics and adding in a love interest for our title character. It still has the clever kills and the gore, but it adds in a new tone, extra laugh. It still has all the clever kills and gore, but it adds in a new tone, more laughs, and lots of room for Chucky to just go insane. But a big part of why this movie works is the perfectly cast Jennifer Tilly.
Yeah, I love her. I'd love to meet her one day.
And works as the opposite of Chucky so well. She's needy, she's naive, she's nuts, she's a killer. Like every trait that you would want Chucky to have to deal with, she has it. Now, of course, there's no shortage of people that hate this film because of all the changes, because it moves away from the whodunit, because it has kills and gore, but it removes all the scares. And if you're in that camp, I really do totally understand. But for me, the late 90s are my era of horror films. I was in high school in the late 90s. Those are just the films I've always resonated
Halloween
with.
Too.
So for me,
I've
this
watched
is
that
a
too.
bloody good time, and that's why it comes in at number 1. Check out that playlist right over there for more horror rankings just like this one. Halloween, Friday the 13th, Purge, all of that fun stuff right over there. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies too much.
Yeah, I will do that. Maybe I'll rank the Chucky movies myself to show you guys what I think of them. Let me know if you want to see that in the comments, please. I would love to do that. I'm not going to include the remake or the TV series because those I can just... I love those, but I could probably do a whole ranking on the TV series with each episode. So, yeah. This is going to be the last video of film for tonight. And you guys like, I added some Halloween aesthetics to my setup here. I got this pumpkin, and I got my little figurines right here I got from Spirit Halloween yesterday. I had to pick up my deodorant from it on the side of my bed, on the side of my shelf, but you guys don't care. So that's my last video. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care. See you all tomorrow for more videos. Hopefully my package will be here tomorrow. At least one of them. Please let them be here. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Pray for me. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Take care. See you all tomorrow. Have a good noon, night, morning, wherever you are. And I'll see you all again in the next one. Peace out, y'all.